if
All right, just to make sure, can anyone give me a thumbs up from the reaction to see if they can hear me and see me okay? And then we can get started. All right, perfect. Just so you guys were wondering, this is our virtual tryout session, or not tryout session, information session. This is for people who couldn't make the in-person information sessions that would be today and tomorrow, or if we hit capacity at Pew Hall. So if you're coming because you hit capacity at Pew Hall, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be at any disadvantage at all. We're still going over all the same information. We have all the same cool things for you guys. And you guys are actually going to have more access to us at the end because we will have a Q&A section. Forgot to introduce myself. My name is Jack Flam, and this is my technology coordinator, Jeffrey Drew.
Hey guys.
And we're going to be kind of leading this information session for you today. We're really excited to explain to you guys what mock trial is, what the team is, and kind of get you guys into the mock trial spirit coming into our tryouts next week. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of show you a video of some previous members of the team, about 10 minutes long, kind of talking about why they chose the litigators. All right. Jeff, can you see that okay?
Yeah, we're all good.
Perfect.
If you're considering trying out, you can kind of boil everything you need to know down into 3 things. There are 3 steps to have a great tryout, to feel good about what you're doing, and to really leave your mark. 1, be confident. Be confident in yourself. Be confident in what you're saying. I've had coaches before tell me, don't say something you wouldn't believe yourself. So that brings us to number 2. Be yourself. If you let your personality shine through, it'll leave its mark. It'll seem more genuine. You will seem more confident just because you're being the person you know best, which is yourself. Go to office hours. It's super scary to get thrown into the deep end for a tryout if you're someone like I was who's had no experience with mock trial before. Office hours really helped me with that. I was able to go and talk to someone on the team and ask them all these questions, ask them clarifications about the tryout process, ask them, what exactly a direct examination is. Is this the kind of question I should be asking? All of those questions that you have, we're there to answer them.
My advice for trying out is to prepare. If you're an attorney, I recommend preparing your speech and giving it to people you know, people you trust. They can give you feedback and tell you if the story you're trying to tell is clear. And if you're a witness, I recommend looking for places that you can emphasize the character so that the people who will be watching your audition really know who you are and what character you're trying to portray.
So I first decided to try out for the litigators my freshman year. I had heard about it from my friend. I think she saw a flyer on campus. So we went to the info session. I did my tryout freshman year. I did not make it on the team, but I came back my sophomore year and I tried out again and I made it that year. My advice to you would be to just be yourself. Do not get stressed. Do not try to be perfect. For me, my freshman year, I was trying to be so perfect and I worked myself up into this ball of stress. So then my sophomore year, I decided, okay, I can't stress myself out. That didn't work. And I kind of just did my thing. I was just myself and it was a lot more comfortable. And it was a lot easier. I had a really fun tryout experience. The main thing I did was character. I put on a British accent and I had fun with it.
If you're considering trying out, the advice I'd give you is just go all out. Your tryout is not the time to hold back. And almost every time the ones that make it are the ones that didn't hold back in their tryout. They're passionate about every word that they said. And you can really tell that they took the time to get invested in the material. So really, you just want to be passionate and have the most memorable tryout that you can.
My advice for someone considering trying out would be go to office hours when they are offered to help with your tryout. I didn't do that my first year and I didn't make the team. And the second year I went to the office hours and I ended up making the team. So they're very helpful, and everyone there is just trying to help you to succeed and do the best that you can.
Try out for both roles. You want to try out to be both a witness and an attorney, and be prepared for both at tryouts. Not only could, be like I was and think you really want to do one thing when it turns out you actually like doing another better, but it also doubles your chances of making the team because you have to try out, so twice the amount of chances to make it on. It just makes sense to try out for both.
My advice is come prepared. Know your material and be confident in your abilities. You got this. Also, don't be afraid to strike up a conversation with one of the members or even ask their advice.
Nobody on the team's out to get you. When you go into your tryout, nobody's there ready to judge you and criticize you. They're there to find potential new teammates, and they're excited to see you guys trying out. And so you shouldn't be walking into the room terrified of them because they're just people too. My advice for anyone thinking of trying out for the Litigators is to definitely do it. Leave your comfort zone and just give it everything you have in your tryout.
I'm glad I tried out because of the immediate support system I have. As an international student coming into UF knowing absolutely nobody, the Litigators became a second family for me. I know that at any given moment, I have at least 20 numbers in my phone that I can call and they would be there for me no matter what. And that's just one of the hundreds of thousands of benefits of being on this team.
If you're like me and you're something of a first generation student, whether it be undergraduate, whether you're the first one in your family wanting to go to law school, that can be really helpful, having someone to go to who's older than you, trying to do the same things that you want to do.
The first time I saw the Litigators, I watched it. I thought it was such a good idea. I was like, whoever came up with this name is genius. And then when I found out that it involved public speaking, something that I already enjoy, I'm a very talkative person. I've always enjoyed people. And the people are super nice and they're interested in things that I'm interested in. I was like, this is perfect. I want to do this. I'm so glad that I tried out because I love our people in our community, and the people that you meet on our team are truly some of the greatest people you will ever meet.
And I decided to try out for the team because I had wanted to go to law school, and also because I wanted something that would be fun for me to do. And it sounded like, pretending to be a witness or a lawyer in front of real judges would be a really fun activity to do. Besides having a lot of fun, I also met some of my closest friends. Just recently, me and a few friends from mock trial took a road trip up to Tennessee just to be with each other and hike in the mountains for a few days. When you're on mock trial, you're constantly surrounded by, people that you get to know and that you get to love. It's a very nurturing environment, and it introduces you to some people that will show you new things and will also be some of your closest friends. I don't even want to go to law school anymore, and I'm still on the mock trial team because I love the people so much, and I do love competing. It's a lot of fun.
I'm so glad I joined the Litigators because between preparing for tournaments and competing, I've learned so many things about myself, learned things that'll help me in law school, and I've met friends who I would have never met on campus if I didn't join this team.
I decided to try out for mock trial for two main reasons. The first is professional. I'm interested in going to law school. And when I went to the info session, they told me all about how mock trial is the third leading indicator of law school enrollment. When I heard that, I wanted to try out and have that on my resume. And also personally, I, like many freshmen who came into UF, didn't know a lot of people, and I wanted to network and get to know people. So I figured that by trying out for mock trial, I would have 50 people who would be my first friends here at UF. All of my favorite people at UF are from mock trial. Most of my friends are litigators. So, I really love the people that I've met on the team. I can't wait to meet the new class of litigators that is coming in this year.
Everyone on the team is really close knit. We do a lot together. We spend a lot of time together, both within mock trial doing work for the team, but also outside just having fun, hanging out together. I felt like I had figured out where I fit into campus, among the masses of students that we have here.
I'm incredibly glad that I joined the litigators and that I made the team and that I went through the trial process. Because when you join the mock trial team, you're going to be amongst a community of hard workers, people that want to be there, people that want to compete, people that are going to give their all to this team, and people that are really friendly. And it helped me learn a lot about UF, a lot about myself, and of course, a lot about mock trial.
I'm also so much more confident now than I was before, especially when I'm uncomfortable. All of the skills that we work on as members of this program are translatable into every field of life. Things like raising your hand in class, That's a huge difference that I've noticed in myself. I'm so glad that I read a flyer with a funny name on it and decided to do something about it.
Being on the team has been great. Everybody is just so welcoming. You're with your friends and you guys are all working together, and it's really, really nice and rewarding when you advance on to regionals and nationals. It's a lot of fun and it really pays off. I'm really happy I tried out, and I'd recommend anybody to try out because it's the best experience.
So I hope that anybody out there that's looking at mock trial, that's considering it, definitely come try out.
So if you're looking for a competitive environment with amazing people, try out for the Litigators. You won't regret it.
All right. And those are just some of the reasons that you should consider trying out this year. We're going to kind of go over those other reasons. And I know a couple of you might not know what mock trial is. So we're going to explain all that to you, and any other questions that you have about the video, we'll be sure to answer those at the end. So we have this presentation that we're going to show you guys that's going to kind of explain what mock trial is, what the team is, and some of the benefits about joining. Just find it. Perfect. All right, Jeff, can you see it okay?
Yes, everything is perfect.
All right. So the overview of what we're going to talk about today are who are the litigators, what is mock trial, kind of once you get onto the team, what the time commitment and expectations are, the tryout process itself, demonstrations of what mock trial is and tryout advice. And then we're going to kind of have a Q&A meet and greet with Jeff and I, where you can feel free to ask any questions that you have. So first off, who are the litigators? We are currently the number 7 ranked mock trial team in the country. Now, mock trial itself, we'll explain what it is a little bit later. But just know that we're a very competitive team, especially for a public university. We're ranked very highly every year. And as part of that, it looks really great on a resume to be a competitor for the number 7 ranked team. Hopefully a little bit higher this year, but out of the 400, 500 teams in the country, we are number 7, and we are very, very proud of our ranking. We have about 50 to 60 undergraduate students. We're coached by UF faculty. We have law students, and we have actual lawyers that come and coach us every single week. Mock trial might be fake lawyers, it might be fake witnesses, but the cheesy thing we like to say is that we have real fun doing it. Now I'm going to go over kind of what mock trial is. I don't know how many of you guys have had mock trial experience, but just for those of you who haven't, mock trial is a simulation of what it's like to be in a real court. We compete under the American Mock Trial Association. You can think of that as kind of like the NCAA for mock trial. They're the only organization that sanctions mock trial, and we are the sanctioned mock trial team at UF, meaning we can compete at regionals and at nationals at the AMTA level. We travel to compete against other colleges and universities across the country at tournaments. For example, last year I went to Vanderbilt to compete at their law school. I went to Pennsylvania. We went to FSU. The tournaments are a lot of fun and they're really competitive. Jeff, what tournaments did you go to last year?
Emory, Georgia. There's a lot of the courthouses in Georgia, so competition there is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. This year Nationals is in Memphis, so if you get on the team and you make it to Nationals with us, you'll be able to go to Memphis, and we're really looking forward to that. Some other Nationals we've had some in Philadelphia, some in DC. So it's really just a fun time. So now we're kind of explaining what the logistics of competing in a mock trial round is going to look like. So essentially, you're simulating a fake trial. You're on a team within our team of 6 to 10 people. And every single round that you go, you have 3 attorneys go and 3 witnesses go on each side. We read a case every year. We get a new case. We just got a new one about 2 weeks ago. You're going to see a little sneak peek of that later. But we read that case and we prepare it on both sides, prosecution and defense in criminal cases, plaintiff and defense in civil cases. And as part of that, we review that case that includes affidavits, case law, and legal documents. Basically, we do all of the work to make sure that when we go into the courtroom, it's just like a real trial. We're litigating. There's direct examinations, there's cross examinations, there's closing statements. It's really like an episode of Law and Order. We also offer free travel through the Bob Graham Center. We do collect some other fees for kind of tournament costs themselves and our own tournament, but we help you find your people. I personally have found a lot of my friends to the team. I live with some of the members of the team because as you see, when you join the team, you're going to spend a lot of time with the people on your team, and you're really going to get to know them. They're great friends. If you're an underclassman, they're a great resource because a lot of them will be the same major as you, but older, so they can kind of help you out with making those connections around campus. I'm currently working at a law firm through a job that I got through my mentor, who was a member of the mock trial team. So I personally can say that I have benefited a lot from being on this team. Now, we did mention earlier that it is a lot of time commitment to be on the team. We expect a lot of you guys, but we give a lot back in return. Practice is every single Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday at 6 p.m. in Turlington Hall. When you start out at mock trial, there will be a lot of room for improvement. And like we said earlier, we're extremely competitive. Being good takes time and dedication. A lot of people treat this like a class or a job. Mock trial is a big time commitment, but it's worth it. I can't tell you the late nights that I've spent in Turlington prepping for the case, and it really pays off when you're in that courtroom, dressed out in your suit, in front of the judge and the jury, kind of giving your closing statement, and it just feels so good to be more prepared in that team and have that work pay off. So some other reasons to join the litigators is to develop some public speaking skills. Whether you're an attorney or a witness on the team, you can develop skills that will help you in any capacity. It's good exposure in the law community, and it looks great for law school. A lot of law schools say it's third on the admissions calculator, right below LSAT scores and GPA. The biggest extracurricular they look for is mock trial because it shows that you have experience in litigation. Even if you're not looking for law school, litigators are a great way if you are involved in theater to kind of get that experience out. We love theater kids, or really any major at all. I know, Jeff, why don't you tell them what major you are?
Yeah, of course. So I'm actually pre-law, right? So I want to go to law school. CS major, computer science, right? So totally engineering. Law school and CS really don't have anything in common at the surface level. But no, everything that we're doing now is very applicable to, I think, what will go on in the future, right? Our case right now, Jack, I'll just give them a bit of a sneak peek. It's an airplane crash case. Right? So we have experts testify, and some of those experts are engineers, which means no matter what background you're coming from, right? No matter what major you're studying, what subjects you like, all of these are, say, applicable to any case that comes up. Especially if you're an engineer, hey, try out for the team this year, it'll be fantastic.
Yeah. So when you come to practice, we're never looking for a specific major. We're never looking that you are going to law school. All we're looking at is that you have the patience and the dedication and the talent to be a member of our team. These are some of the law schools that our class from last year and the year before have gone to. We've had graduates of this program going to Duke, UVA Law, Cornell, Columbia, a bunch of good law schools. A couple of our coaches this year are current UF law students, and some of them are former litigators themselves. So as you can see, the benefits, if you're pre-law and even if you're not pre-law, are plentiful. And like we said earlier, even if you're not a law school major, you are welcome too. We had a monkey case a couple of years ago, a case about a monkey that attacked somebody. And one of our members actually read that case and loved it so much. He changed from a law school path, and now he's doing a doctorate in animal sciences at the University of Michigan. So the litigators are a great way for you to kind of discover your passions and explore those. And in case you're wondering, should I be worried that I didn't have any mock trial experience? You shouldn't. I personally had absolutely no mock trial experience when I came onto the team. Jeff, I don't think you did either, did you?
No, we have like actors, debaters. If you did speech and debate, that's a huge up already. But yeah, most of us don't.
Yeah, so don't feel bad if you have no mock trial experience at all. It's not a big deal. There's still a good way to get on the team, and that's just practice and dedication. So looking at what the actual tryout process is, the round 1 is September 2nd through 7th, and you're going to pick your day and time at the end. We're going to show you a QR code. You can try out as an attorney, as a witness, or both, and it's going to be 15 minutes. This year, we are doing just in-person tryouts. If you really absolutely cannot make any time, please DM us on Instagram and we'll make some time of accommodation. And before I explain what you're actually going to be doing in these tryouts, I'm going to give you an example of what you're going to be doing by showing you an opening statement and a direct and cross. So this is about a 10-minute video that's going to show you a direct, a cross, and an opening statement from some of the top members of our team. They're performing from last year's case, which was an arson case. And basically, they're going to show you that an opening statement is kind of just an intro into the case, where your side kind of talks about what they're going to prove, what they're going to show. And then they're going to show you a direct and a cross examination. A direct examination is an attorney and a witness on the same side kind of telling a story about that case. And a cross-examination is a witness on the other side kind of trying to poke holes into that story and prove that their side of the case is the superior one. Jeff, is this full screen?
Yeah, looks good.
Perfect. I apologize for the blurriness. It's really not something that could be helped, but I hope you guys enjoy.
Your Honor, opposing counsel, members of the jury may please the court. Up in flames. Shortly after midnight, on August 1st, 2020, a young firefighter named Jalen Williams made his way inside a local bar called Chuggy's. The bar was up in flames. Jalen fought through those flames, looking to save the lives of anyone who could have been trapped inside. But the building started collapsing around him. In a matter of seconds, the ground beneath him disappeared, and all that was left was a hole in the floor where he once stood. The flames, they raged on. But Jalen, he didn't make it out of that building alive. The fire that Jalen Williams died fighting, it was no accident. In fact, both sides agree that this fire was man-made. Instead, it was the work of the owner of Chuggy's Bar and the defendant in today's case, Dakota Sucker. You'll learn that once the defendant's dreams of making money at Chuggy's Bar went up in flames, she decided to cash out while she still could. That's why, as a state in today's case, we're pursuing a charge of aggravated arson against the defendant. And with that charge, we brought along a burden of proof. We have to prove to you two things. First, that the defendant set fire to Chuggy's Bar. And second, she knowingly created a substantial risk of serious harm in doing so. We have to prove that to you beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, reasonable is the key word. That doesn't mean we have to prove it to you beyond any and all doubt or any possible doubt. It means that by the end of today's trial, you can't think of any other reasonable explanation for how that bar burned down. Then we've met our burden. We'll hear from Skylar DeYoung, a former employee at Chuggy's Bar. Ms. DeYoung will take the stand and tell you that the defendant invested a lot of money into her bar. You'll learn that the defendant had dreams of making Chuggy's Bar something great. But then you'll hear how everything went wrong. Renovations were delayed. Material costs were high. COVID shut the bar down for months. So the defendant made a choice. She made a choice to say goodbye to her bar and hello to a $1.5 million insurance payout and walk out of Chuggy's Bar for the very last time. But someone saw her that night. Someone that you'll see on that stand right there today. Someone by the name of Maddox Vaughn. Ms. Vaughn will tell you that just 30 minutes after Chuggy's Bar burned to the ground, the defendant was seen in an empty marina, alone. Members of the jury, we can understand feeling bad for the defendant. She was losing money. Her dreams went up in flames. But when she decided to light her bar on fire, to try to get that money back, she traded in a man's life. She has to be held accountable for that. And so at the end of today's trial, my co-counsel, Mr. David Ott, will come before you and ask you to find the defendant guilty of aggravated arson. Thank you. Please introduce yourself to the members of the jury.
Bună ziua, my name is Maddox Vaughn.
What do you do for a living, Ms. Vaughn?
I work for Express Guard here in Midlands. We provide armed or unarmed security services and counseling for major clients in Greater Midlands area. Right now, I work as lead security officer for fancy building named Jaywood over by the marina.
What do you do as a lead security officer?
It is essentially a toned down version of my army days. You see, back home in Romania, I had to do required service. It was meant to be my brother, but he is a, how do you Americans call it? A weenie. So I had to do it for him. But now I work security over at the Jingwood.
What do you do when you're not at work?
Nowadays, nothing very interesting. I spend a lot of time with my dog, Mr. Bentley Bogdan. I do a lot of exercise, many Romanian deadlifts. But back in the day, I used to drink American wine and eat American wings with my most favorite American friends.
Where would you meet up with those American friends?
Over at the Chuggy's Bar, mostly.
Do you remember the last time you were at Chuggy's Bar?
It was July 31st, the night of the fire. I remember because it is also the night of Sindiena in my country. It is a wonderful holiday where we celebrate fairies and condemn men.
Who else was there that night?
The dining area wasn't technically open, so it was me and Toby was there, or sorry, Miss Tobin Johnson. She was making me a couple of drinks with my meal. I also saw the kitchen staff in the back working on to-go orders. And of course, the owner, Dakota Sutcliffe, was there too.
Do you know what the defendant was doing?
She was acting like a drill sergeant. She was running around, barking orders, telling everyone to hustle. It reminded me of my Army days.
How long were you at Chuggy's bar that night?
Well, it closed at 9 p.m., so that is when I left.
Where'd you go?
I had to go home. I had to work a shift at Jaywood at midnight, and of course, Mr. Bentley Bogdan had to be fed and walked.
Where do you usually go on a walk?
We usually go at the marina. It is right across the street from my apartment. We do a couple of laps there.
And what time did you go on that walk that night?
Well, if I left Chuggy's at 9, it is about an hour drive to my apartment. By the time I got Mr. Bentley Bogdan ready, eating his dental stick, we actually went on to walk. I would say it was around 10:30.
Do you remember if the marina was empty that night?
For the most part, yes, it was, until we were heading home.
Who did you see?
I saw Dakota.
How did you know that it was the defendant?
Because I know Dakota, and I had seen her earlier that night. She looked exactly the same.
And what time would you say it was when you saw the defendant that night?
It was 11:34 p.m. But now that I think about it, that was about half an hour after Chuggy's burned down.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. I have no further questions at this time.
Ms. Vaughn, I want to talk about the night of July 31st. You left Chuggy's bar that night?
I did, yes.
And then you went home?
Yes, I had to feed and walk Mr. Bentley Bogdan.
And while you were at Chuggy's bar, you had several drinks that night.
Yes, I had a few. It is a bar after all.
Ms. Vaughn, I'm actually going to go through a list of those drinks. And all I need you to do is say yes or no if you drank them on July 31st. Is that okay?
Yes, of course.
You drank beer?
Yes.
You drank 2?
Yes, with my meal.
You had vodka Red Bull?
Yes.
You had about 4 of those.
Yes, that is a problem I have with the Americans. It is this much Red Bull and this little vodka.
You also drank whiskey?
Yes.
You took a shot of that?
Yes.
And then you had even more alcohol from a flask, is that right?
A few sips, yes.
Now I want to talk about what you say you remember from that evening. You remember going to the Midlands Marina at around 10 p.m.?
Yes, that is right.
And during your time there, you had your flask with you?
Yes.
And you were going for a walk, is that correct?
Yes, with Mr. Bentley Bogdan.
And you were sipping from that flask during your walk?
Yes, occasionally.
And at around 11:34 p.m., you say that you remember seeing the defendant at the marina.
Yes, I saw Miss Dakota.
And to be clear, Ms. Vaughn, you never spoke to that person you saw.
No, I didn't really have anything to say to Dakota.
And you never made direct eye contact with that person you saw either.
No, I did not.
You stood about 70 feet away?
Yes, she was about that far under the light.
By that time that you saw the defendant, you had what, like 6 drinks?
Over the course of the night, along with a meal or so, yes, I did.
Thank you, Ms. Vaughn. Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
All right. So those were some examples of direct, a cross, and an opening, which is what you guys are going to be doing in tryouts. So I know that was a lot, especially if you guys haven't had any experience in mock trial. So don't worry. If you have questions at the end, you're welcome to ask them. And you'll also see that we're going to have a Q&A session in the next couple of days that you can attend to ask for tryout advice and kind of what an opening is, how long yours should be, how long your direct should be, how long your cross should be, and what you guys are going to be using. So let me get back to this presentation. So as an attorney, you're going to be giving an opening statement, which is what Nathan had done in the beginning, and you're going to be giving a cross-examination, which is what April has been doing. And you're going to be cross-examining a member of our team who's at your tryouts. As a witness, you're going to perform a direct that you're going to take your own character spin on, and we're going to direct you, and then you're going to be cross-examined by a different member of the team. So the results will come back out to you via email on September 8th. We have 2 rounds of tryouts. The first round is September 2nd through the 7th, and the second round of tryouts is on the 9th. And if you're called back to the second round, we'll email you and you can schedule that time for the 9th. After round 1, if you get called back to round 2, we're going to send you feedback on your performance. And that's so you can adjust some things and we can see any improvements you guys have between rounds 1 and 2. And then that night or the morning after, we'll email you the results and whether you got on the team or not by September 10th. And the first practice is September 11th, that Wednesday. And all of the new members have to be there at 4:30 p.m. All right. So last year's case, what you saw Nathan and April and Lorena doing was called the State of Midlands versus Dakota Sutcliffe. And Dakota was charged with felony murder, and that conviction that she eventually received was overturned. And they found that the felony murder rule was unconstitutional. But the state indicted Sutcliffe on 1 count of aggravated arson for the burning down of Chuggy's bar and the death of Jalen Williams. So the opening that Nathan gave was based on that count of aggravated arson, defending Dakota against those allegations. And then that direct examination of Maddox Vaughn kind of made the facts so that Dakota couldn't have been at the bar at the time of the fire, so they couldn't have said it. And the cross-examination that April did kind of explained the basis behind those facts possibly being wrong. That because Maddox Vaughn had several drinks that night, they were far away from the person they saw, they were biased, they could have been lying, they could have been wrong. And that's kind of what we do in these cases. These cases are written to be 50-50 on each side, and we kind of take that gray area and we present our case and we show that our side is the one that comes out on top. Now to kind of break down that opening statement a little bit more, the opening statement is the first thing that the jury hears in your case. You're going to introduce the main ideas of the case, the important people in that case, and provide an outline of the jury of what you think happened. The most important thing that an opener can do is tell a story. When you're going in front of a jury, they're never going to have heard this case before, the one that you've been reading for weeks or days. So they're going to have no idea what's going on. So you have to explain that story to them, give them all of the background information, all of the facts that they're going to need, and tell them what they're going to hear in that trial. We just showed you an example of that opening from last year's case. Nathan gave it. So now we're going to kind of go into direct. And direct examination is when an attorney and a witness from the same side of the case tell your side's versions of the events. So in this case, Maddox saying that for the defense side of the events, that Dakota Sutcliffe was not at the bar at the time of the fire. This brings forth the good evidence for your side of the case. The goal of it is to be simple and interesting. You want the jury to follow it and create and add character. So as the witness, you should appear unbiased. You should appear like a real person, and you should be likable. And as the attorney, you should stay professional. You should let your witness be the star of the show. And then for a cross-examination, it's the attorney's time to shine. you're questioning the other side's witness. You're going to ask leading questions, meaning yes or no questions, to make the witness provide good facts. Now, an example of a leading versus a non-leading question is very important. And for all of the people who are trying out for attorneys here, this is a very important distinction for you to make in tryouts. A non-leading question would be, what did you have for lunch today? Because the person who was asked that question can answer, I had a sandwich, I had a wrap, I had a bowl, or I didn't have lunch that day. But you as the attorney are reading the facts of the case. You're going to know what the answer is going to be. You know what you want your answer to be. You're going to lead the witness to answer the question a certain way. So an example of a leading question would be, Mr. Drew, you had a sandwich yesterday, correct? And Jeff can only say, yes, I had a sandwich, or no, I didn't have a sandwich. There's no possible way that he can say anything else. So in that case, Jeff would say he didn't have a sandwich. No. As a witness, when you're getting crossed, you don't want to be too agreeable, but you don't want to be combative. I know that's not the advice you especially want to hear. You want the golden formula, but you want to strike a balance and find places to wiggle or explain yourself. So for example, in the cross earlier, when Maddox Vaughn was asked about having a drink, she said yes. When Maddox Vaughn was asked that she had another drink, she said yes. But when Maddox Vaughn was asked that she had 6 drinks that night, she said, over the course of the whole night, and I had a meal, but yes. So she agreed to the question, but she gave a little wiggle on it, a way that she spun the facts to make her seem more credible, that it had been spread out over the whole night and that she had a drink, so she really wasn't that intoxicated. As a witness, you want to be the star of the show, even on cross. You don't want to let the attorney be the star of the show, but you don't want to appear too fighting. All right, so the tryout process itself is very simple. We're going to post a QR code at the end of the meeting. You guys feel free to sign up for tryouts. Everyone who signs up for a tryout will get one. If tryout availability runs out, please send us a DM on Instagram and we'll try to make something work. Emails will be sent out after the second information session tomorrow. It's going to contain all of the witness affidavits you're going to need, all of the information about the case itself, and everything else you're going to need. Contact us if you do not receive an email or if you have other questions, comments, or concerned under our Instagram at UF Litigators. Something we're going to have this year is called office hours. We really encourage you guys to go. It's the way that you get help and preparation for your tryouts. And those are going to be Wednesday and Thursday, Wednesday from 12 to 5 and Thursday from 2 to 5. And in the email, we'll give you some more information about those. They are going to be virtual. So you can just kind of come on, ask your couple of questions and leave to prepare your material. We're not going to be giving you guys every single piece of advice, but we will be giving you guys some guiding material to help you guys along so you can write your material and that you know that you have what you need to be prepared. Sneak peek of this year's case. Jeff kind of hit on that earlier, but this year's case is called Ari Felder as surviving spouse of Morgan Felder versus Kohler Campbell Air, LLC. It's a civil case, which is different from a criminal case. But essentially, the overview of the case is that on July 4th, 2021, a man named Reese Campbell took an associate at his firm, Morgan Felder, on a sunset flight in his plane. However, on this plane, something tragic occurred and the plane crashed. And now the spouse of the person who died, Morgan Felder, is suing Reese's company, Kohler Campbell Air, for negligence, saying that it was Reese's fault that the plane crashed. So on one side, we have the plaintiff, Ari Felder's side, arguing that it is Reese's fault that he crashed the plane and that Ari Felder is owed damages for Morgan's death. And on the other side, the defense, we have Reese Campbell's company arguing that it wasn't Reese's fault that the plane crashed and that something else must have happened. All right. So this is kind of not our last slide, but this is kind of where you can find all of our contact information. You can see our Instagram right there. That's the fastest way to contact us, but we also have a Twitter. You can see the AMTA website, you can see our website, and you can see our email. So if any of you guys are interested, make sure you're following the Instagram. And now let's get to what you guys are all waiting for, which is the tryout link. So right here is where you're going to sign up to try out. You can sign up to try out as both a witness and an attorney. So you'll have to book 2 separate tryouts to do that. Now you'll see there that there's going to be 2 separate signups. There's signups for the first for 3 days are going to be in Pugh Hall. Those are going to be the weekdays of September 2nd, the Friday, September 5th, the Tuesday after Labor Day, and September 6th. September 6th and September 7th, which is the Tuesday and Wednesday after Labor Day. Those are going to be in Pugh Hall in one of the rooms upstairs. And then the 3 days on the weekend, the Saturday, Sunday, and Labor Day, we're going to be in Turlington Hall. And we will send you an email or a text of what specific room we're going to be in. So this is the code that you guys have to sign up. If you guys want to try out for just an attorney, just a witness, feel free. But if you guys want to try out for both, you can also feel free. Just make sure you fill out 2 spots. And those tryouts are going to be 15 minutes long. Please get there 15 minutes early, at least if you can. I would recommend 15 minutes in case someone doesn't show up, and we can take you early just so that we know and we can keep things moving along, because we're going to be there all day and we want to make sure that we give you a fair shot and that you have enough time for your tryouts. This link is also going to be on our Instagram bio. So I'm going to click away now. And if you guys haven't gotten this link yet, feel free to go on our Instagram bio and look for it. And if it's not there yet, just DM asking for the tryout link. All right. And with that, now we're going to have some Q&A time for Jeff and I. Give Jeff a little chance to shine, since I've been kind of talking the whole time, but
Be quiet, Jake.
I've been on the team for 2 years now. I've been to nationals. I've been a captain. I've been an attorney and a witness. And Jeff has been both an attorney and a witness, and this is now his 2nd year on the team. So we have a lot of experience on this team. We know a lot about a lot of different roles on this team. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead. Don't feel bad.
If you guys don't ask any questions, I'm expecting all of you will make the team.
Yeah, well, don't feel bad if you guys don't have any questions. We do have those virtual office hours that you guys can come in and ask questions, or you guys can reach out to us on Instagram. But if you guys don't have any questions, you guys are free to go. You guys can also DM us in the chat. If not, we're just going to stick around for a few minutes, but thank you guys so much for coming in today. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you guys at tryouts.
I have a quick question.
Of course. Go ahead.
Okay. For the attorney tryout, well, actually for both tryouts, do we like make our own speech?
So, for the attorney tryouts, you will be writing your own speech and your own cross. And
Okay.
for the witness tryouts, you will be provided with a direct examination that we're going to write for you guys. And then you're going to give your own character spin on that. And then obviously for the cross examination, you're not going to know what questions are going to happen. You're just going to be crossed on those questions as your character.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course. Looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you. You guys have a nice night.
You too.
Take care. So, I love hearing you speak, Jack.
Thank you. I knew that was gonna be awkward just because there was only literally 4 people there.
Yeah.
But